Hey folks, Tim Miller here with Secure Church, and I've got some great news. We're going to start doing our regional training conferences again. You know, COVID and a lot of other things pulling us away from focusing on training the church resulted in us not kind of doing what we do best for a while. But the good news is we're back, and I'm excited to tell you that we're going to do a conference with the Rehoboth Church of God in Bloomfield, Connecticut, in April of 2024, to be specific, April 19th, the evening, and then April 20th. And folks, for those of you who have attended our conference in the past, you know that what we do well. I don't say that with pride, but we're fortunate to have probably some of the best experts in the country, from the FBI, Secret Service, state and local law enforcement, state level leadership, government, law, all of that, who are willing to come and invest in training churches. And here's the reason why. All of those folks have personally led church security efforts or are currently leading church security efforts. So we get it that it's not just about gunfights and skills and all that. It's really more about ministry, having a heart and mind of ministry, but also being highly skilled. For those of you who have been to our conferences, I say it all the time, we want the heart and skills of David, with the heart first. And you know, as I was talking to Bishop Ramsey from Rehoboth Church of God, he shared this with us that I think is very, very helpful to keep things in perspective. So let's take a listen. I would just like to just ask you, as a bishop, as a pastor, why are you so supportive of having trained security members in your church, given kind of what's going on in our world?
Well, when we look at all of the events that's happening, it's all in our news. It's happening on college campuses, on high school campuses, churches. Just a couple of weeks ago had incidents that if they had trained security, that would not have otherwise taken place. When we look at the King Solomon, and look at the courts of King Solomon, and look at how he had his people arrayed and how he had them all in their different assignments. It is talked about with excellence. It's talked about with grandeur, because he was deliberate on what he did. In fact, the Queen of Sheba said, the half has never yet been told, because it was so spectacular. And I believe God wants order in his house. I believe God wants us to be in a position of leadership, to give guidance, to give direction, and people should feel safe, you know, we, as well as feel comfortable that security is going to be provided to them. When they come into the house of God, they should be able to worship and not worry about whether something is going to take place over on their right or on their left. They should be able to close their eyes when they pray. They should be able to hold up their hands and feel the expressive in their worship without any hesitation or fear.
Well, folks, I couldn't agree with Bishop Ramsey more. First off, because he's a wise, seasoned man of God. But there really should be excellence in church security ministries. And I still do quite a bit of consulting around the country with churches. And I find that sometimes what we do in church security seems to be haphazard. There's not a lot of consistency across church security teams. And largely that's because, unlike police officers, when I was a Marine, we all went through the same training. When I was a police officer, we all went through the same training. I was a Secret Service agent, we all went through the same training. And there were baselines formed for how we do what we do. And unfortunately, that's not always the case in church security. So let me tell you what we're going to talk about again. April 2024, it's going to be April 19th and 20th at the Rehoboth Church of God in Bloomfield, Connecticut. Here's what we're going to talk about. We'll have a retired FBI agent, but someone who's still involved in tracking international concerns, terrorism, violence against the church worldwide. He'll be giving us an overview and a threat brief. We're going to be talking about the ministry of security. I get a lot of questions about how do I motivate my team? How do I keep it focused on the right things? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about emergency planning with probably, I would argue, the best emergency planner in the country. He led the state of Illinois' emergency planning effort, has been on site at massive disasters around the state of Illinois as the lead guy. And he's going to share with us just, hey, this is why planning is so important, regardless of size. And here's what you need to do. We're actually going to do some workshop stuff too with a plan. So if you're coming and you have a plan, we'd recommend you bring it. We're going to talk about security communication skills. Again, with an FBI agent who's probably one of the best in the country. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about how your teams can ask the right questions, not losing ministry, but ask the right questions, which could really help you decide, hey, is this person a threat or not? And he'll be doing a workshop as well on the specifics of how to do that. We'll be talking about church law with one of the best church lawyers in the country. He oversees 5,600 churches, wealth of experience, godly man. You're gonna love hearing from him. We'll also be talking about de-escalation and mental health issues. Folks, we're seeing a lot of challenges in the church. Like one of the guys on our team says, you're more likely to get hit by lightning than to have an act of violence, and yet that's what we focus on. But I'll guarantee you, virtually every week, you're going to be dealing with somebody who's struggling with mental health, somebody who's got de-escalation, domestic issues that your team, if they know what to do, can help with. We're going to talk about self-defense with probably one of the most experienced guys I know, former Marine. He now trains everyday people. Just how to, he's not going to try to make you a kung fu master. He's going to talk about how do we take initial steps in the midst of that crisis that can buy us time, maybe even disable attackers. So this is for everyone. And then, folks, as you know, we're going to wrap it all up with Milo Range. We're going to bring 2 systems. We're going to have a lot of time Friday night working the system, working through church security scenarios, also having a little bit of fun, and then we'll also do the same thing at breakouts on Saturday. So I can't stress to you enough how important it is if you're on a church security team to get the right training. And folks, let me tell you, there are a lot of folks out here training. God bless them. We need training, but we only need good training. We need training that will equip and empower the teams with skill, but also with the right hearts. So I hope you'll join us. If you have any questions, you can call the church, Rehoboth Church of God, at 860-242-8335. Again, it's 860-242-8335. Ask them about the security conference. And by the way, can I just encourage you, sign up now. Because as you see the trend of violence increasing, the need for this is great, and I expect that this is going to fill quickly. So go ahead and sign up, get your seat. It's a regional conference, so there'll be a lot of folks coming in from out of town. And again, if you have any questions, call the church. They'll be able to help you. And by the way, if you want to have some online training, we have reinvested in some online training. Folks, my heart sees, I'm sure yours does too, what's going on, and that the church is becoming more and more of an ideological target, which means we don't live in fear, but we're going to be wise and prepared. So if you go to our website, securechurch.com, securechurchaltogether.com. We do offer some online training. I'm going to be doing a lot more specific training, talking about sanctuary security, talking about perimeter security, talking a little bit about technology. We're just trying to equip folks as best we can to be prepared. So I hope this is helpful. I hope to see you in April, and obviously reach out to us at securechurch.com if you have questions or recommendations. So God bless you guys. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Stay safe.